Hello, welcome back to the 26 YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and what cameos we might expect to see. With Doctor Strange coming up in the next few months, everybody's starting to proper hype up this film now. I feel like with Spider-Man No Way Home, a lot of people kind of pushed Doctor Strange to the side a bit, but now Spider-Man No Way Home came out, Doctor Strange is in everybody's minds. The rumoured cameos to be in this film are endless. I mean endless, and today we're going to be talking about which ones I think. I've got a list of all the ones that have been rumoured on news articles, what people have just brought up, and I'm going to be talking about whether I think they're going to be real or not. Right, let's get started, and first of all let's start with Professor X. Now, Professor X is a character that I do think will be in the film. He's been rumoured to be fighting Wanda, which if that happens would be absolutely incredible, but I do think if it was Professor X, I think it would be more likely to be Patrick Stewart's version than James McAvoy's version. I feel like that just works better in everyone's heads. I feel like James McAvoy did a great job as Professor X, but I feel like if it was Patrick Stewart, I think that would give people more of a, not just nostalgia, but I feel like when you think of Professor X, I feel like that's who you think of first as Patrick Stewart. I also think Professor X could play a crucial role in the story. I know a lot of these people I'm about to talk about in this video will be just brief cameos. It's even rumoured that some people will only get like 30 seconds of screen time. But I feel like Professor X is one of the characters in this list who will have a crucial part in the story, because of just how clever and like his brain is next to none compared to like anybody else in the Marvel universe. Not to mention that he's also in the Illuminati, which in the Marvel comics is a group from, well, in the Marvel comics it's a group from one universe that are like the most, the monumental leaders of each group. So you got Mr. Fantastic, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Black Bolt, Professor X. You got loads of these big leaders coming together, but I feel like they could do the Illuminati in this film, but as like almost like multiverse, or like a multiversal group. Next up, let's talk about Professor X's counterpart, which is Magneto. Now, Magneto is also a character that I think, if he is in the film, would play not a whole film's worth, but I feel like he would still play a very crucial part to the story, because obviously in the comics, Magneto is actually Wanda and Pietro's father, which I feel like you could play into in this. Obviously, our version of Wanda's father is not Magneto, but I feel like you could play that in through the multiverses. Wanda's actually going through the multiverse to find her children. She could stumble upon her father, and obviously she's somebody in our universe, in the MCU, who hasn't really been established with a father figure. I feel like it would be good to see her interact with Magneto. And once again, if this was to be Magneto, I think this is different to the Patrick Stewart and James McAvoy situation. I actually think Fassbender, I don't think he's the better choice. I still think you're better to pick the OG. I think Fassbender is, if I saw him I would still be happy. I think he did a very, very, very good job as Magneto. Now let's talk about one of the ones that I think would be the most excited for, because this was like a childhood hero of mine, and that would be Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Now, I find it hard to wrap my head around this ever happening, just because I feel like even in interviews you see with Hugh Jackman, it feels like he's let the character go. He just doesn't want to go back to that. But I don't know. I feel like ever since, spoiler alert for Spider-Man No Way Home, ever since Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield have come back, I feel like anything is possible. The cards are on the table. Anything can happen. If I see one big cameo in this film, that's when my brain will go, anything can happen now. But I don't know. Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, I would say there's a 32% chance of it happening. I would really, really, really like it to happen, but I don't know if Hugh Jackman would do it. I feel like Kevin Feige, everyone at Marvel Studios would love that to happen, but I don't know if Hugh Jackman, because he let that character go in such a beautiful way as well in the Logan film. Now, obviously, it might sound like I'm saying just yes to all these, but I'm kind of going through the ones that I think will happen first, and then I'm going to be debunking some later. Now, the next one is, this is the only character in the whole entire list that I am 100% certain, 100% certain will be in this film. And that someone is this guy, Deadpool. I generally think Deadpool is 100% going to be in this film. Now, Deadpool's a character that I think, just because I think he's going to be in this film, doesn't mean I think he's going to have a load of screen time. I think he'll probably have quite a little bit of screen time. But Deadpool's the one out of all of the Fox characters that obviously Disney now own, has been confirmed, well, obviously apart from the Fantastic Four, has been confirmed that he's going to be in the MCU at some point. He's going to be getting his trilogy. A lot of characters, I feel like it's hard to just pull out and go, you're here now. But I feel like Deadpool's the one where you can go, it's Deadpool, he can fuck about. You wouldn't even have to have Multiverse of Madness, and Deadpool could just pop into the MCU and that would be it. Like, you don't have to explain anything with him. He doesn't define filmmaking logic. This is a little bit off topic, but on the topic of Deadpool, I also think if or when I say Deadpool is in the MCU, I think he should pick up the torch from Stan Lee, and I feel like they should just make Deadpool cameo in every single Marvel film. I feel like it would just be such a great way, and I feel like everyone misses the fun of having Stan Lee, and he was such a just amazing person, and it's so sad that he passed away in 2020. But I feel like everyone looked forward to just seeing Stan Lee pop up in a film, and I feel like the only character that could pick up that from Stan Lee would be Deadpool. Fantastic Four. Now, do I think all of the Fantastic Four will show up? I don't think the Thing or Sue Storm will show up. I feel like if any characters who would show up would be Mr. Fantastic. I feel like is the most likely character to show up from the Fantastic Four, just because he is, like I said, in the Illuminati, and I feel like if any crazy cameos are going to happen, I think it would be that Illuminati group getting together. Now, who would Mr. Fantastic be played by? Now, a lot of people want it to be John how do you say his name? John Krasinski. Yeah, let's just call him John. I feel like it would be most likely to play. Well, people want it to be played by him, but I don't think it will be, because loads of people want that to be the fan casted for our MCU version of Mr. Fantastic, and I feel like if we're going to see Mr. Fantastic in this film, it will be a different world Mr. Fantastic. And that being said, I think it will be the Mr. Fantastic from the old Fantastic Four films. I can't remember the actor's name, but I really liked him in that role. I thought he was really cool, and that's how I picture Mr. Fantastic as him. Now let's talk about the one that everybody's been banging on about, and this is one, if they pulled this off, this would be mind-blowing, and I would be all for it. I think it would be incredible, but I don't think it's gonna happen, and that would be Chris Evans. That's right, Chris Evans, Captain America, as Human Torch. Obviously, he played the character way back when, and it's such a different contrast, Human Torch and Captain America, and Chris Evans did both characters really well, I thought if anything, Human Torch was the standout to those films. I thought he was brilliant in them. It would be so interesting, people seeing Chris Evans and going, oh, Captain America, and then he could just say flame on, and everyone would be like, what? And I feel like that would just be such a cool twist. Obviously, it would be a twist that people would kind of expect, because obviously it's been rumored now, but I feel like that would be so sick, and I feel like that's such a cool and clever way of Chris Evans coming back to the MCU. Quickly going back to people who I think will be in this film, when you come to rumours, which I don't think this is really a rumour, I feel like this is more expected, and that is Loki, Sylvie and Mobius. Now, will all three of them show up? I'm not sure. I think Loki will show up, because nothing so far in the MCU, even how crazy and mind-bending Spider-Man No Way Home was, nothing has brung up the events of Loki, even though that seems to be the biggest thing that's happened in the MCU, really. The whole entire multiverse is colliding and strands are breaking off, and I feel like nothing's explained that yet. And we've seen in the trailers Doctor Strange mention Westview, so obviously this film is going to include things that have happened in the shows. So why do I think Loki will be in? Well, why wouldn't he be? He's playing such a big role at the moment in the whole multiversal crisis. And I feel like whatever happens, whatever the outcome is of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, will have to be answered in Loki season 2. Loki has to be in this series. Mobius, I don't think has to be in it because memory got wiped at the end. But I feel like TVA as a whole, I feel like if they're multiverse jumping, Mobius has to, like, or the TVA at least has to be involved with trying to stop Doctor Strange, Olivia Chavez, and Wanda Maximoff. Loki, yes. Mobius, maybe. Sylvie, yes, just because it was kind of her fault. The whole multiverse thing's happening in the first place. If she didn't stang Mr. Conqueror, then what does be happening, mate? Spoilers for Spider-Man No Way Home if you haven't seen it, but Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, right? Will they be appearing in this film? Now, would I want them to? Obviously, right? As I'm literally the biggest Spider-Man fan ever. Like, I just look like the Spider-Man comic right in front of you. Boom, I haven't actually read this yet. Spider-Man lamp, you're currently standing on a Spider-Man stand. I'm getting a Spider-Man tattoo next month on my forearm. It's gonna look fucking sick, of Andrew Garfield Spider-Man from the Amazing Spider-Man 2, because that is the best Spider-Man suit. It's not the best film. It's also not the worst film. Underrated opinion there. Spider-Man 3 is, but that's a different conversation. Do I think Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire will be in this film? It's a hard one to say, because obviously I feel like if they're doing all this multiversal things with what happened in Spider-Man No Way Home, it would make sense, but then you've got to think about these bastards, Sony. Would Sony let this happen? Now, I feel like they could let this happen, but I feel like if anything's going to be happening with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield again, I feel like Sony would want to make it their whole project so they can get all the revenue and whatnot. Who knows? And I do think if anyone from the Spider-Man universe would show up, I actually don't think it would be Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I don't think it would be Tobey Maguire's. I don't think it would be Andrew Garfield's. I think it would be Madam Web, because obviously she's the person who oversees all of the web of life and destiny. And I just feel like it makes sense if anybody from the Spider-Man world was going to be shown in this film, or like at least acknowledged. I feel like it would be Madam Web. And I feel like if out of the two Spider-Man, if one of them was to show up, let's say, I feel like it would be more likely for Tobey Maguire's than Andrew Garfield's. Even though I secretly on the sly actually prefer Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Underrated opinion, I know. Big debunking right now, right? Tom Cruise, Iron Man isn't happening, guys, right? I just, if that happens, right, you can come back to this video and you can go, haha, told you so. But I just can't see that. Obviously, Tom Cruise, all those years ago in 2008, whenever it was, when the first Iron Man film first came out, almost played Iron Man instead of Robert Downey Jr. Obviously, Robert Downey Jr. has become Iron Man. Everyone sees him as Iron Man now. He's become such an iconic character in that role. But all the way back when, it was meant to be Tom Cruise. The main reason this wouldn't happen is because if Tom Cruise's Iron Man appeared on screen, I don't think you think, that's Iron Man. I think you think, that's Tom Cruise in an Iron Man suit. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't think it would feel natural to a lot of people, especially casual viewers of the Marvel world who maybe aren't so caught up in what's happening right now with rumours and etc. Do I think it'd be cool? Yes, I would like to see somebody else, maybe like an unknown actor, because then you know it's like, oh, that's Iron Man. But I feel like if I personally saw Tom Cruise, I would just think that's Tom Cruise in an Iron Man suit. Like, is this Mission Impossible? This is Mission Impossible! God, I'm so stupid. Tom Cruise Iron Man, that's a quick one. No. Back to some X-Men characters, I feel like we should list off some of them. Storm, I would love. If it's the old, I can't remember the actor's name, I'm so sorry. She was really good, and like when I was young, when I was a young boy, I'm 19 years old currently. When I was really young, I used to watch all the X-Men films growing up, the Fantastic Four films. Well, the first one really, I didn't really watch the second one when I was younger. And then Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man films. They were like my childhood films. And obviously also the 2003 Hulk, which also I will get onto in this. Storm, yes. Quicksilver, big discussion here. I feel like if Quicksilver does show up, I feel like a good way to do it is have more. Have more than one. And what better way to do it than have Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Evan Peters. I feel like Evan Peters got his time to shine as Quicksilver in WandaVision, but that Ralph Boner, I feel like so many people, including myself, so many people were let down by that, because he was like through those next generations of X-Men films, he was the person who stood out as like everyone loved this character. Sweet dreams and melodies. That scene, so good. And the if I could save time in a bottle. It was so good. And I feel like they were the first people to really like do this whole slowing down thing and then ooh flick. Obviously there was something like, I know people have joked about over the hedge and stuff doing it before, but like in superhero films they were like the first people doing it. Well, it makes sense because obviously in WandaVision, Wanda somehow, even though Evan Peters' Quicksilver looks nothing like Aaron Taylor Johnson and sounds and acts completely different, even though they're the same character, Wanda somehow still clicked and went, "That's my brother." And I feel like if she can connect those two, I feel like the multiverse possibilities of Quicksilver showing up is endless. I don't feel like we're going to see a load of X-Men characters in this, but I feel like some underrated ones that will show up will be Megasonic, Teenage Warhead, and Colossus. Because I feel like if Deadpool's going to show up, I feel like the two characters from those films I would love to see come back through into the MCU and keep those characters would be those two, because they were really standout shining characters. Supporting characters in those films, they were really good. And also Domino was really good. Next up, let's talk about this for my boy Eric Voss, right? Because the poor man has been so heavily criticized about this when WandaVision was out, and that is Mephisto, right? Will Mephisto show up in this film? I don't think he will. But I think Eric Voss knows that as well, so I feel like that's something that he'll let slide. Obviously, I'm guessing if you're watching this channel, my small little channel, you know who New Rockstars are. They're amazing. Eric Voss is amazing. I love those guys. I'm sure you've seen his theories of Mephisto when WandaVision was about, but I don't think Mephisto will show up here. Maybe get teased, but I feel like we will see Mephisto one day in the MCU. So Eric, just keep waiting, my friend. We're just gonna throw up some random ones here because I was reading some articles of which ones I can find. Ghost Rider, maybe. Like I don't know. I it would be cool. I'd like to see Ghost Rider and Blade in this film. When you think of all these different characters and how dark some of these characters are, I don't know if they would make the best use of Blade and Ghost Rider in this film. But I definitely maybe would like to see them just coming in quickly, because Blade's obviously in the MCU as we heard at the end of Eternals. So Ghost Rider, I don't think he'll show up, but it would be cool if he did. And last but not least, like I kind of done this in a random order because I wrote this down on a list on my notes, so I just keep going back in two. But the last one, which I think would be the most interesting. Would it be the most interesting? I don't know, but it'd be one I would really like to see happen, and that's the 2003 version of Hulk. I don't know why. That film, when I was a kid, I remember it being so incredibly amazing. And then you go back and watch it now and you're like, the CGI is absolutely terrible. Why did they do all this comic book? Like, obviously they were figuring out the world of comic book storytelling on the big screen at the time. But I don't know. I feel like if that happened, that would be incredible. I don't know. I would just love that. If we're going to be talking about his version of Hulk, I'm sure the conversation will always spark of Edward Norton. I just don't think it makes sense. I know I've heard a lot of people talking about this as a rumor, but why would it make sense when you really think about it? Edward Norton's version of Hulk is Mark Ruffalo's version of Hulk, even though they seem so different and they feel like they're not in the same universe. That they're the same character, and that's what they were intended to be. Obviously, Edward Norton fell out with Marvel Studios, but they are the same character. What I would like to see happen though, because I generally think Edward Norton was a really good Bruce Banner. I would love to see them bring back Edward Norton as maybe a different world Hulk, but obviously have to make it obvious for the audience, that this is a different version of Bruce Banner. But I don't know how they would do that, but they can't make us go, oh, this is the same one that played the 2008 film, or they're the same character. But yeah, I think that's where I'm going to leave this video. It's been a bit of a weird one. Obviously, I'm trying to produce quite a lot of Marvel and Star Wars content, so if you guys want to see any more Marvel or Star Wars content from me, please subscribe. I've been trying to really work hard on the channel recently. I know obviously I only got a small amount of 17 subscribers, but I don't know, I'm really enjoying this. I've never tried YouTube before, and I'm really giving it a go now, and I'm really enjoying it. And it's giving me a bit more of a bit more character, and I really enjoy it. But yeah, on the topic of 17 subscribers, I would just like to quickly say to all of you 17 people who are currently subscribed, I loved you guys to bits. Thank you for coming along the journey. I know a lot of you have subscribed for different types of content. I'm trying to narrow it down to a proper niche now of Star Wars, Marvel. I will try to get out some gaming content every now and then. And obviously the reaction videos that I've been doing so well on the channel, I will obviously try and keep up with them whenever there's something good to react to. I don't want to just react to anything for the sake of it, because I have done that on the channel before and it hasn't done so well. So I just want to react to trailers or clips that are doing really well in the Marvel, Star Wars, or gaming community. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in a bit.